Good morning, traders. It is Wednesday, May 22nd, 5:45 a.m. I'm Jonathan van Clute with Stock Navigators. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button, give us a vote on the video, let us know that you liked it, and give me some comments, feedback. Throw it in the comment area below if there's any symbols you'd like looked at or anything you would like help with in your trading. Anything I can do, I will do my best to help out. All right, now let's start by taking a look at the S&P 500. And yesterday was an ugly day. I think for most people, I saw an awful lot of talking yesterday in Facebook groups about what a just total crap trading day it was. I took one little tiny trade and said, "Nah, I don't like the way this is looking," and I scratched it, got out, and it was just a sideways day. It really went nowhere. So it was kind of a whole lot of no fun to trade. But sometimes that's just the way it goes. It's a valuable thing to recognize when certain days just don't suit your trading personality, just don't suit your approach, your strategy, and just don't trade. You do not have to trade. That's a big advantage we have as small retail traders, is we do not have to trade. We don't answer to anyone but ourselves. So with that, we did have a move kick up early in the wee hours of the morning. We had this big move here. Well, we also had a bit of a move started really in the evening. Kind of started when the Asian session came online. We had our first finally a push down and broke out of the kind of range bound nature of the day, and then bounce back up, lower high, and now lower low, and it's looking like the down move is wanting to kick off. That being said, on the daily, we haven't really established anything clear yet. If I zoom in a little bit here on the daily so you can see it better, right now we're just still sideways. Yesterday technically a bit up, today down by the same amount. So far, nothing really happening yet. I don't know what this is going to hold. We're kind of in a triangle here. You can see that there. And right now, it's kind of reaching the end of the road for the triangle. So where is it going to break? I mean, technically, really, you could even say it's that. So is this a bear flag? Are we talking flagpole, flag, then continuation to the downside? Uh, Personally, I'm kind of expecting that. That is what I am looking forward to. I'm looking for a retracement down to somewhere in this level here. So I think that has a pretty decent probability, but we got to have some kind of confirmation of it. And right now, we just don't quite have it yet. So on the daily chart, technically speaking, the bears are in control. Oscillator is below the zero line, and price is below the 50 SMA and below the 13 SMA, plus the 13 has crossed below the 50. So things are looking very bearish right now on the daily chart. It is not looking good. And I don't hear anything going on in the world that would likely act as a catalyst right this instant, that would all of a sudden drive the buyers to feel safe and confident in buying up this market. I think everybody is extraordinarily nervous right now. And right now, the price is kind of reflecting that. The technicals are reflecting that. That being said, right this instant on the 60-minute, let me zoom in a bit better here so you can see it. We had a gigantic spike down here on the 5-minute chart. Well, I mean, gigantic is relative, right? So let me change this. Actually, this shouldn't even be on a 5-minute. I forgot that I was looking at a 5-minute chart before. So we've got the 60-minute chart. We had a pretty darn strong move down here the last hour, but very, very quickly, buyers bought it right back up again. So what's going to happen today? Are the buyers going to step up, buy this dip, and try to push it higher? Could happen. I don't know. It seems unlikely to me. That does not seem to be the most likely outcome, but that does not mean it can't happen. It definitely can. We at the moment have a nice hammer forming here, but we got 20 minutes left on this 60-minute candle for that to form. And we might see a reversal to the upside this morning. When the opening bell happens, maybe we do get that. We might get a nice pop to the upside, but I would be looking to anywhere in roughly this area or so to probably stop price and turn it back around. Maybe not even that high. It depends. If we're going to be establishing lower low, lower high, lower low. Maybe we have a lower high and then we break lower, something like that. Keep an eye out for that. The overnight range was basically, see here, there's yesterday. It's morning though. Here we go. So overnight range pretty much was, yeah, basically this high here and this low there. So that's our range, and price might also even just come up to the overnight low and then reject. We see that a lot. The overnight high and low have a tendency to act as pretty good support and resistance for the day. And if price breaks through those levels and then continues, gives some sign of confirmation, then more often than not, we see some continuation in that direction. On the other hand, if price breaks back into the overnight range and then does not break out of it, then we get these sideways days where price does, does this kind of thing, where it just sort of stays in that area. It doesn't really go anywhere. So, what's today going to give us? That is the question. Today is a Fed day. So, today is likely to be kind of ugly and a little weird, just like yesterday. I don't know if it's going to be range bound or not, but quite often what we see on Fed days is sort of a sleepy morning. It's quiet, small range, or slow movements until the Fed announcement at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And once that happens, usually a minute or two later, then all of a sudden things get kind of crazy and we will get like, a sudden huge push up and then the next bar, sudden huge push down. And we see that more often than not. So Fed days, if you're new to them, if you're a new trader, today might be a good day to just sit back and watch, grab the popcorn and enjoy the show. Then again, if you're on a sim account, hey, trade it, see what you learn. See what you can observe about the movements that happen on a Fed day, but just don't forget that the announcement will hit at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern, 11, what did I say? 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern. And just be prepared because things can get a little wild, especially if the Fed announces something that was not expected. Right now, they have already previously said there will be no more, or they're at least planning no more interest rate hikes for the rest of the year. So I think the market is probably already got all that priced in. I think it's unlikely the Fed will surprise anyone with any kind of a sudden change. But that doesn't mean it can't happen. If they were, for example, to suddenly lower interest rates, that might all of a sudden bring out the buyers, and maybe people will decide that this is the time and pile in, and that might push the market higher. We just don't know. But anyway, today is probably going to be a little unpredictable, so just be prepared for that. Okie doke, crude oil next, and crude has once again pulled back to the 50 SMA. And the 13 is holding above the 50. It did come down to almost kiss it and now is wanting to head higher. Oscillator dipped below the zero line on the daily and is now trying to push up towards the zero line again. The MACD line has already managed to cross above the zero line, and so far it's holding above there. It's not a huge vote of confidence. This is still fairly small range. There's not a lot of volatility in this market right now. It's pretty small stuff, but it's looking like it's trying to move higher. But on the short term, 60-minute, you can see that the bears are in control. They have managed to break this previous low and they are pushing down lower from there. Although at the moment, for this candle anyway, in the last 50 minutes or so, buyers have stepped back in again and are pushing this candle up. So is this going to be the bottom? Do we jump back up into this sideways range here and maybe try to march higher from there? Don't know. I mean, this does have all the signs of wanting to continue now. I think an argument could certainly be made that this was the end of a wave 3, and then we've got a wave 4 correction there, and now we're looking at maybe a 1, 2, and a 3 starting to the upside, maybe. But right now, it's a little too early to say that with any kind of real conviction. So it's a little bit unclear. We just kind of have to give it some time to play out. And certainly, if we break this low here, then clearly the market has further downside, in which case I'd probably peg this as an a B, and a C. So I don't yet have a way to know for certain if we are done heading to the downside, the price action is going to tell us that. If we can break up higher than here, then we know the continuation is now to the upside. If we break down below here, we know the continuation is to the downside. It's kind of that simple. On the other hand, if this in fact was an A, B, C, it's entirely possible that we have wave one and then wave two comes down and almost reaches that bottom there and then finally breaks higher. And then we have our wave three. So we'll have to see if that is in fact how it plays out. Just keep an eye on those levels. That's what we're looking for some confirmation either way. Right now, in the short term, the 13 has gotten below the 50 SMA. Prices below the 50, prices below the 13. Everything is looking bearish at the moment. So I would not be at all surprised to see some additional follow through and potentially test maybe this area here somewhere near those levels. All right, let's take a look at gold, which at the moment is just kind of going sideways. We popped up. It looked like we were going to be continuing to the upside. Now we've pulled back down again, and we've given a nice sort of triple bottom here, right around this level. We've still not quite reached the 100% level, and I feel like it's not going to. My expectation at this point has been that that 100% level is just not going to get reached, and this was probably as good as we got. So if I were in a short trade and I had not taken profits yet, I would probably want to think about doing it at this level because we did not get the 100% target. And certainly for a long trade, we have not broken higher yet and kept it. Right now, we poked higher but gave it back again. So what's this going to signify? I don't know. This does look like a pretty good low, though. So this seems like a relatively good low risk entry to me. Or I mean, risk is relative, but provided that your account can handle it, putting a stop just right outside the low here would be reasonable. We have popped back up into this zone here, however, and right now have gotten stopped by the top of the zone. So far, price has not really been able to get out of this zone and hold. So which is going to give? Are we going to break to the downside and head lower, or are we going to break to the upside and head higher? That is the big question right now. It's looking like on the 60-minute price wants to go higher. Oscillator and MACD line are both just crossing the zero line now, trying to push higher. So far, the sellers have come back in, and the buyers have not been able to hold it up. But if the buyers do step up and push this market higher, then we could in fact see some continuation to the upside. So watch out for those levels. It's really what we're looking for in the very short term. A break of this level would indicate a good potential move higher, and then the next area to retest is going to be this spot here. And of course, beyond that, get up above these highs, and then we can truly start to move to the upside. All right, now let's take a peek at natural gas. And natural gas is not quite held on to this sort of beginnings of an uptrend as well as I would have liked to have seen. Price very momentarily popped above the zero line and then just quickly gave it back again. MACD line kissed the zero line and now has pulled back, is rejecting that. It's not below the signal line yet, but it is very, very close. It's working on it. And you can see very clearly on the 60-minute that we had a big candle to the downside just a couple hours ago. And now we're trying to sort of stop falling and establish a new base there, which is roughly the low here. So is this going to act as support at that level? That's really the big question. We do have a divergent oscillator with price getting lower and oscillator getting higher, but there's no confirmation yet. So we've got to have some kind of a reversal. We need to see some indication here, a doji followed by a green upwards candle, something like that. Hopefully along with the MACD line, crossing the signal line to the upside, oscillator eventually get back up to that zero line and get over it. The bulls have got to take control back because right now, since back here, the bears have been in control and they have not been willing to let go of it. So we could have a bit more of a pullback technically as long as we maintain a higher high, a higher low, a higher high, and a higher low. Anything above this, equal to or above this, we're okay with an uptrend. So this could just be the beginnings. Is this a 1, 2, and then a 3 is just starting? Well, if that's the case, this has already fallen back into the area of wave 1. So that would have to be 3, 1, 3, 2, and then 3, 3 to the upside. On the other hand, maybe we've got 1, 2, and this is going to come back down again and then head higher. Right now, we just don't quite know. So we're going to have to give it a little time to unfold and see what this market wants to do. Right this instant, it is looking like it is still continuing lower. Price is breaking down even as we speak. Oscillator is continuing to grow, and we just don't have any signs right now that the market is done falling. So stand by, stand on the sidelines, and wait for it to give you some kind of confirmation. Okie doke. Final take a look at Bitcoin. And I'm going to zoom in here on the daily chart a little so we can see it better. Bitcoin is definitely in a triangle wedge going on here. And it's going to do something. And when it reaches the end of this, it's likely to break either higher or lower. I am expecting lower. That is my anticipation and frankly my hope. A nice healthy pullback would be really good. I would ideally love to see it hold above that 6,000 psychological level, but it would not be unreasonable for it to come to anywhere between these levels, anywhere from the 38.2 to the 61.8 would be a reasonable expectation. But that's a big drop from 8,000 down to 6,000 or maybe even down to close to 5,000. So that's a lot of drop. I mean, 3,000 points, $3,000 is a huge move. But that's Bitcoin. It's volatile. It moves. What do you want? It's the way it works. So we'll have to see what it wants to do. My anticipation was an A, a B, and a C. I don't know if it's actually going to cooperate and give us that. We will have to give it the time to play out. Right now, it's trying to hold up. The buyers have been holding up in this area, as you can see. But the oscillator right now is, a little on the weakening side. And if it makes a lower low and another lower high and then continues to make lower lows, then I would expect follow through to the downside, even if price sort of hangs out in this level. We've also got that sell zone overhead that price has not yet been able to overcome. It's tried to do it a couple of different times, hasn't been able to. So far, this is definitely acting as resistance. And we'll have to see if the buyers will continue to come in down in this level. And if they do, then maybe we don't even get a retracement to the 38.2. And if that's the case, then we can expect the next wave up to be considerably stronger. On the 60-minute chart, very weak momentum. There's just not a lot going on here right now. It's very sideways, and this is very typical of Bitcoin. It'll have these huge moves like this and then go sideways, or a big move like this and then go sideways. So you can see that much better on a 60-minute chart, and you saw it here also. So this happens a lot. Bitcoin's one of those things where you need to get really good at spotting the breakouts, and then it tends to run, and it runs quickly. When you get a breakout, there tends to be follow through, and you better jump on it quick if you're going to try to actively trade Bitcoin. When it moves fast. So be ready for that. Right now, that's kind of what I'm looking for, is a breakout of this high. Actually, really, I need to see a break of that high there, or a break of this low. One or the other. Pick a lane, pick a direction, and start to go, and get some momentum to come in, and some follow through behind it. All right, that is it for this morning. Last peek at the S&P just to make sure it's still there, and it is. Imagine that, big surprise. And so far, price is holding. With that hammer there has looked to be a bottoming sign, at least in the short term. Of course, as I mentioned, today is a Fed day. Don't forget that. And it's only 6 o'clock, just after 6, so we still got almost a half hour to the opening bell, and anything can happen. So just be ready. I wouldn't be surprised at all to see a bounce this morning, but will it hold? I am doubting it. But who knows? We'll have to see what the price action wants to give us. All right, that is it for this morning. I'm going to go get ready for the premium trading room in about 10 minutes or so. I'll pop in there, say hello to everybody, and we'll get the ball rolling in there. For everyone else, have a good day today. Be careful trading the Fed days if you do trade today. And I will be back to do this again on Friday. So with that, again, I'm Jonathan Van Clute with Stock Navigators, reminding you to press that thumbs up button, give us a like on the video, and throw any feedback you may have down in the comments area below. And we will very gladly take a look at it and see about incorporating it if there is something to incorporate. Alrighty then, until Friday, take care, everybody, and trade well.